Elections, one of the most important or an important feature of democracy. And everybody says you must vote. It's your sacred duty to vote. And there are campaigns to make people want to go out and vote. Then there is this issue of finding good candidates, and people say good people should get into contest elections and get into that. And then it comes to actual elections. Now, this business of elections or contesting an election is expensive, it's obvious. Contesting an election costs a lot of money. It's extremely expensive, a very pricey affair. It's about publicity and campaigning and all sorts of things that you have to spend money and reaching out to people and advertising and media and campaigns, and whether conducting rallies or leaflets or brochures or addressing meetings and all that. So all this is a massively expensive affair. And nobody, repeat, nobody in any democratic country in the world where elections are held has really addressed this issue of where does one get money to contest elections. This is beyond ridiculous. It's like the elephant or the dinosaur in the room or the dragon in the room that nobody addresses. In India, a parliamentary election, if you are talking of member of parliament and that sort of a thing, Lok Sabha and elections for Lok Sabha, an individual can spend up to 95 lakhs officially as per the that is decided by the election commission. That is the ceiling. In assembly elections, state level elections, an individual can spend up to 40 lakhs, and these are official allowable expenditure limits, ceilings. Generally it is said that people spend more than this, which is not official. They don't show it officially, but much more money per candidate might be spent in an election. And it's all underhand dealings and all that. Of course, not possible to prove these sorts of things because dealings are in cash and all that, but the figure can go into crores, maybe 2-3 crores, 5 crores or whatever in a parliamentary election per individual, per candidate. This is about obviously about the major parties and the government candidate and the main opposition candidate and those kinds of people. Now, so that is the unofficial figure. But even if you talk about an official figure of 95 lakhs or 40 lakhs or stuff like that, and anybody can contest election provided his or she is 25 years of age and mentally sound and no criminal issues and all that and certain basic things. So most people are eligible. But then how does one get 50 lakhs or 40 lakhs or 95 lakhs? Forget about the big parties and all that. Where is that money going to come from? Let us say a good individual, an honest individual wants to contest an election. Maybe he stands as an independent candidate or wants to float a party or whatever. Even if one candidate has to spend 40-50 lakhs or 30 lakhs or whatever, where is he going to get that money from? And why is he going to spend that money? Just so that he gets, if elected, he gets the privilege of serving this country. So you spend, let's say a person spends 95 lakh rupees, 9.5 million rupees, and official highest limit, contests the election and wins the election. Let us say he or she is an independent candidate and he or she becomes the member of the parliament from his or her constituency. And what does he get? There are some benefits, of course. There is some salary and all that. That is what, 30, 40, 50,000 rupees or something per month. and maybe some travel concessions and stuff like that. So why would somebody spend close to 1 crore for this? It's impossible to fathom. Nobody would do that. Would he or she do that just to serve the nation? So he basically donates money to get himself elected to the whole election puja or worship or yagna or whatever you call it. That is also a donation, because whatever he gets officially as a member of parliament is peanuts. And then in addition he serves the country. What kind of economics is this? How does it make sense? How can anybody finance this? How can you finance this? You can't. So the system is rigged. Basically, money, you don't spend this money. I mean, money chases money, capital chases capital. And you spend this money only if you can recover this money or make more money. So either you do it because you are going to make money out of this business of getting into electoral politics and becoming an MP or an MLA or whatever, or somebody is going to fund you in the hope that when you are in a position to you get elected, and maybe you will be in a position to benefit him or her financially through some legal machinations or government machinations, and as a MP or MLA you will do something in the government structure that will benefit that person, some laws or whatever concessions and all that, so that he or she gets benefited. That's why he or she will fund you. So businessmen will fund politicians so that politicians get elected and then repay those businessmen. And politicians get into this so that they can repay and make money out of it. Or if they are not going to repay somebody, if it is their own money, then they will at least still try to recover that money. And there is no way you can recover that money unless you do corruption or things that are not entirely legal or ethical or beneficial, or you are not going to be completely objective or unbiased about it. You will make sure that you at least recover that money or make more money, or you have the pressure to pay back your financiers and pay them back with more. That is how business works. Otherwise, how are you going to get money? Who's going to fund you? And who's going to fund you, and fund you for what? It's not a business enterprise officially. So where is the return on investment? You can't officially show any return on investment. So how does money come then? Doesn't. So this is something that is mind-boggling. And nobody in the world has really thought about it seriously. From the time democracy was born, maybe in US or India or whatever, and constitutions were framed till date, nobody has actually seriously thought about it and given any solutions. So basically, you have a system where corruption has to be systemic. The system itself is rigged. Corruption becomes an intrinsic part. Because how are you going to manage this? Massive funding has to go in, otherwise you don't win the election. So you have to spend that money. Somebody has to spend that money. Somebody has to get that money. And money doesn't come free of cost, right? There is a cost to it. Even if a bank gives you money, there is an interest. So all this money, and a bank doesn't give you loan for fighting elections. And how are you going to repay the bank in any way? Right? Out of your salary as a candidate, you don't get any salary. It's peanuts. So, and if you lose, then there is no salary or anything of that sort. So this is unbelievably ridiculous. And so how are people going to get into this? So you have this whole system which is rigged, and where corruption, you cannot, it is something that has become an integral part of the system, the feature of the system, an essential feature of the system. Because unless you address this issue of funding, and officially and openly nobody will ask about it and all that, but to win elections, money has to be spent, and there is no guarantee that after spending that, whatever money you spend, you are going to win or lose. So money is going to be spent, and that money will have to be repaid. So money will have to be found somewhere and it will have to be repaid. And how are you going to do that? If you win, you have to repay. So you are going to see to it that the industrialist or the financier who gave you the money is benefited by making changes in laws and whatever procedures as a part of a government functionary or something like that. So then it is quid pro quo is built into the system. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So it is a business. So unless one addresses this issue of how to fund elections, and how does a normal human being, he might be interested in serving the country, he might be honest, capable, everything. How is he going to do that? Is he going to spend 50 or 90 lakhs or 1 crore? Does he have that kind of money? Even if he has, why should he spend it? What is he going to get out of it? It is like he's donating the money to serve the country, and then so there is financial donation and there is donation by actually working for the country. I mean, that doesn't really happen. That doesn't work like that. It is idiotic to think that would work. So this is a fundamental design issue that no country, democratic country in the world has figured out. In US, I think during Obama's election, we had small campaign contributions from individuals, small American supporters and all that. And there was a talk of crowdfunding and all that, but fine. Okay. Still, generally, the biggest issue is elections are massively expensive affairs. You may win, you may lose, you still have to spend money. And if you want to be successful, you have to spend money. If you want to win, you have to spend money, whether you are in the government or against the government, incumbent or the challenger, main challenger. And all this money has to come from somewhere. And that money will have to be repaid many times over. And how do you repay that money? By doing hanky-panky. Otherwise, how does that happen? Where is the source of money and where is the mechanism to return that money? Nothing at all. Zero. No provision. Nobody, framers of constitution, founding fathers, nobody ever thought about it, has ever thought about it. This issue has not been addressed at all. It is incredibly stupid, idiotic, and laughable. So this is one problem that has to be addressed if you want to talk about democracy and elections and sanctity and purity and making it corruption free and all that. Otherwise, the system itself is weird, and logically speaking, it is not logical. It is illogical, and yet that has been in practice for years. So unless somebody officially figures out the mechanism for funding of elections, so that there is some, I mean, a lot of thought needs to be put into this, but it must be done. Otherwise, you ask people to vote, but then getting good candidates to contest in the elections, how can people contest in the elections? Where will they find the money? Who will fund them? Why would they spend that money, or why would anybody spend money on their behalf? And once that money is spent, isn't that going to be a question of returning that money with interest, or maybe with a very attractive return on investment in cash or kind? So this is an intrinsic feature. Then you cannot do away with corruption. You have designed the system in such a way that you can't take corruption out of the picture, corruption or any malpractices. So this is a massive issue, and surprisingly and unfortunately, no one in the world, no democratic country in the world has seriously thought about it. I rest my case. Thank you.